Welcome back inside the Gamecocks, the morning show, powered by Electric Bikes of Charleston, electricbikescharleston.com. Believe it or not, spring is right around the corner. My grass started to green up, and the cold weather came back. But that's all right. electricbikescharleston.com. Get yourself prepared for the warmer temperatures here in the Palmetto State. You might even pass Big John on an EB out there. What's up, man?
What's going on?
How far is Snellville, Georgia from Bainbridge, Georgia?
Well, Snellville is on the north side of Atlanta, so what, 4.5 hours maybe?
Is it that one? Okay. It's the home of the great Sterling Sharpe. What are we going to do for him, John? He's the only Hall of Famer in the history of Gamecock football, NFL Hall of Famer.
He needs to be celebrated, man. That's pretty big time, and it was well overdue. Obviously, his career got cut a little short with the neck injury he had, but, man, he was a hell of a player.
Oh, man, you go back and watch some of the videos when he was at South Carolina, and then when Brett Favre was throwing the football to him with the Packers. Couldn't cover him.
No.
You couldn't cover him.
No.
I mean, it's crazy. Did you ever play with anybody that reminded you at all of Sterling Sharpe?
I mean, wide receivers are they're all kind of different in their own way. Obviously, Troy Williamson had a lot of big-time electric plays when we played together. So he's one that really just stands out because if you go back and watch some of Sterling's highlights, I mean, he had some of those electric plays, making a guy miss and just beating him with speed for a long touchdown. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was something special. I'd be interested to see. I mean, you've got his name up on and his number up on the press box. One of the things that JC and I were talking about last week is the need for a South Carolina Hall of Fame, not just football. I mean, John, quite frankly, baseball and women's basketball, even, men's basketball. You got a bunch of stuff that's happened at the university over the years that can be celebrated in a Hall of Fame. But, 25 years ago, I'm not so sure that there would have been much to go in a football Hall of Fame. You could have come up with a few things led by George Rogers and guys and Sterling Sharpe and guys like that. Now you've got some stuff that you could throw in there. I'm just really curious because for a long time, we all know it's well documented. You didn't see a lot of Sterling around the university. He is around the university now. He plays in all the golf tournaments. He is very welcome. Him and Shane Beamer have an excellent relationship. Him and Coach Tanner have an excellent relationship. I really am curious what they're cooking up this coming football season. They've got to do something that spotlights him in front of 80,000 people. Got to.
Oh, I'm sure there will be. I mean, how can you not? Especially after being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I don't see why there's going to be one home game this year that Sterling will be celebrated. That's for sure.
He deserves a statue outside next to Big George, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, maybe. They definitely should do something, though. I agree.
I mean, if you're not going to give a statue to your only NFL Hall of Famer, who else deserves a statue out there? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. That's the pinnacle of the sport. Have you ever met Sterling?
Oh, yeah. Played golf with him.
I was about to say, I thought y'all run across each other a few times. Meredith knows him well, and she said he is just an amazing, amazing dude.
Yeah. I think there was one year at the Letterman's golf tournament. What was it? Me, Brewer, may have been Phil Petty. Who else was on our team? Maybe Tommy Hill or somebody, and then it was Harold Green, Sterling, Corey Miller. Now I forget who. We just all joined one group, so there was 8 of us all playing together for like 3 holes.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he can play some golf.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, him and Coach Spurrier used to win that. What is it called? The Chick-fil-A. What do they call it over there at Lake Oconee? Chick-fil-A Coaches Challenge or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to Sterling Sharpe. That was just really, I mean, that was awesome. The video with him and Shannon was pretty. I mean, that was tough. Shannon. Some people don't care much for Shannon Sharpe because of his TV stuff or whatever, and that's fine. But as far as watching two brothers, in the words that Shannon Sharpe, they have a really special bond. We all know that. That was neat. So
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching Shannon say that live back when his induction, and Sterling sitting there with him, and he says that, and it's just like he ain't lying.
Yeah, I'm the only one in the Hall of Fame who's the second best player in their family.
Yeah,
which is bizarre. John, yesterday we got. I love that Jeremiah Donati is going to be sending an athletics department update each month to Gamecock Club members. You got it. I got it. Everybody got it. It's pretty detailed. He goes through to congratulate teams and individuals on their academic achievements, their athletic achievements, and all this type stuff. But then he also gives you an update on some things that are pressing matters at the administrative level. And obviously NIL is right there at the top of this. I want to go to a section in there and talk about this for a second, because I'm not in any way, shape, or form questioning Jeremiah Donati or the University of South Carolina or Ray Tanner. It has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with the NCAA and the clearinghouse. I'm going to read this. I know you've read through it, but I'm going to read it for those that maybe haven't. Jeremiah Donati writes, as the settlement is currently written, NIL will look a lot different post July 1 when these new rules are adopted. For example, all deals between third parties and student athletes over $600 will be subject to an independent fair market value analysis on a case-by-case basis. Deals that are above FMR, or fair market value, after being reviewed by a clearinghouse, will not be permissible for student athletes to accept. This model is much different than what is currently being offered by NIL collectives and NIL supporters around the country. Okay, so the way that I understand all this, John, is you're John Strickland and you own a car dealership, Strickland Chevrolet. All right. Strickland Chevy contacts, I'm assuming, I don't, well, it doesn't say whether it has to go. I mean, it doesn't have to go through the student athlete. It can go through a third party and vice versa. So you contact the agent of Lenora Sellers. Okay. Let's just throw real names to make this a real scenario here. And Strickland Chevrolet says, we're going to give Lenora Sellers $50,000 to be the face of our commercials that we run on local television here in Columbia, local radio, inside the Gamecocks, all of our digital, et cetera, et cetera. All their ads that they push out, Lenora Sellers is telling you to get in there and buy that brand new Z71. We're paying them $50,000. My question is, who's determining that? Okay, the clearing. Who is the clearinghouse, and what method are they using to determine fair market value? Because fair market value in one market might be different from another, right? Like if you're in New York City versus Columbia, South Carolina, that's number one. But number two, your value is what somebody's willing to pay you when it comes to this. Because I can tell you right now, John, if we get off the air here, right, in 20 minutes, and you get a phone call from Love Chevy, and they say, John, we just love what you do on Inside the Gamecocks every week. We want to pay you $50,000 to be the voice of our car dealership. You're going to take the deal. And it might be a lot more than what you believe you're worth, but they think you're worth that, so you're going to take the deal. I'm really confused as to how this thing's going to work.
Well, some ways I like it. Some ways it's a little confusion. Here's one reason I like it. The reason I like it is because it's going to take away some of these people who want to manipulate the system to overpay for players just to get them on their roster, kind of like Dave Portnoy did at Michigan. It's going to take that part out of it and put it as more of an even playing field. So where, the number one recruit in the country, it's not a bidding war out there on, yeah, we're going to give this guy this, going to give this guy that, and we know we're overpaying for it. So me personally, I'm all for it. But you have to make sure you're doing it the right way. You got to make sure, well, this guy deserves this fair market, but this guy only deserves this. So I don't know. Here's what they're probably going to do. They're probably going to take some comps on what well-known athletes would get for these kind of situations. So I'm sure there's going to be some data points, the playoffs, the data points, to make sure this is fair, though. So that's why I like it, because it's not going to give one school a huge edge over another school, right? So I understand exactly why they're doing this. And for me, I know some people may not like it, but I actually like it. That's what I took away from doing all my research on it, is it puts this thing as an even playing field. And that way your Texas A&M that has all the big oil money isn't, unfairly, beating a Missouri or whoever some of the, the more bottom schools in the SEC are, as far as revenue. The Mississippi States, it puts it as a even playing field. So I like it as long as there's no manipulation in it. You get where I'm coming from here?
I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I absolutely like it. I first and foremost, I absolutely like it because the hope is, to your point, that you do eliminate a lot of the riffraff,
like the Michigan thing, like the quarterback that was committed to. Where was he committed to?
I thought he was at LSU, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was committed to LSU, and then Dave Portnoy comes in and says, "Hey, I'll give you $10 million to come to Michigan. You'll be a barstool, on the payroll for Barstool. We'll pay you $10 million if you come to Michigan." It's going to eliminate stuff like that.
See, that's where I'm just playing the game here with you. I'm not necessarily questioning what you're saying, but that's where I'm not saying that I disagree with the premise of this. I got
it's just like the NFL. It's just like the NFL. You have a salary cap.
Yeah.
So there should be a cap on, just if we're going to pay these players and you want to make it even playing field, you have to put some kind of cap on it. If not, it's just going to be the same teams getting all the best players just because they have the most money year in and year out. And that's just boring. Mm-hmm. It is. It's just boring. So that's why they're doing it this way. And that's why I like it.
So my question would be to play devil's advocate here, right? There's only that's a very unique situation. That's not like there'd be a bunch of barstool.
But it goes on though. It does go on.
It does go on. My question would be, who is trying to determine what that value is worth to Barstool? Because Barstool might say, well, this guy's going to make me $100 million. I got no problem paying him $10 million. That's what he's worth. And then somebody says, well, he's not worth that. And they're going, well, he is. And it's our business. So we can pay him if we want to. Because I agree with you. I'm just saying, I'm trying to envision the issues here in the public market. Let me ask you this. Do you think, once this is in play, do you think, John, that this will, not that it ever really went away because it didn't, but do you think that this will re-incentivize or recreate under the table? Hey man, we can't do that. We can only give you 50 grand. I'll tell you what I can do. I can have my guy drop off 250 cash.
I mean, that's always happened in college football. So you have to take that out of this equation that we're talking about, because that's something that's always happened. Basketball, football, it happens. So you got to kind of remove that even from your thought on what we're talking about here. It's all of what I said. This is going to even the playing field on everything else. Now, what happens under the table? Well, stuff like that's always happened. So it's probably going to continue to happen with this. But you have to remove that and look at what they're trying to do to make the make college football a fair and even market for all schools.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. John Strickland. It's 10:45 here on Inside the Gamecocks, the morning show, brought to you by our buddy Tony Pope. TonyPope.com. Tony Pope State Farm here in South Carolina and in Georgia. As you kind of move along, because I'm with you, the dark money continues to exist. So those guys probably need to continue to exist. If you're a dark money guy, don't go anywhere. Just stay right where you are. But we don't have enough answers, right? Because you've got the Title IX stuff that's kind of kicked it into gear, and you got 20.5 million coming up, and that's going to technically be in July, and then that's going to go up from there. And they're trying to make everybody kind of pay everybody the same thing. We all know that it's not even. No sport is even with football. Football deserves the large majority of the money, and we'll kind of and we'll just have to see what happens with that. No matter what, though, John, everything that happens, every single decision that is made is somebody is going to sue. It's what we're doing now. It's what we're going to do then. My question is there something that comes out of this that is not college? Like, is there somebody out there right now basically scheming to say, okay, you know what? If we're going to have to continue to play these games, everybody wants more eligibility. They want to fight against the, offsetting eligibility from junior colleges and Division II and all those type things. They want more money. They want to be able to, they don't want a clearinghouse having to give them a fair market value. They just want to be able to go out and get whatever they want to get. Do you think that there will be spinoff leagues from this in sports, especially football? I mean, we already have the Arena League and all these other things. It seems like every few years something tries and it really just never really gets going. But do you think something else could come from this?
I don't. I mean, the two biggest markets in all of sport are college football and pro football. That's it. And nothing else is going to ever be able to compete with those two big boys. It's just not going to happen
because there's no money.
Right. It's been tried over and over and over again, and it just never works out. So, no, I don't see anything, honestly.
Do you think the NFL could have any influence on how college athletics is regulated right now, or do you think they care?
I don't think they care, and I don't think they could. I just don't see anything like that happening because, I mean, the NFL is where the college is where they get all their players from, and things are set in place for those guys to move up. And there's only 53 guys on a roster, so there's limited spots. I don't see any way either of this affects it, either or the other. There's no chance.
I think we just spent 10, 15 minutes talking about this. I think it's the wrong conversation, though, that's being had. I mean, you have to have it because obviously it's a major deal. I think coaches, they'll tell you, we'll find the money. Like, we'll go find the money. We can figure out the financial aspect of everything. We got to figure out the transfer portal because they're tired of paying players. And John, you know big names of big places here at South Carolina, Georgia. You know people, right? These people, they get called on, they get a phone call. Okay, what do you need? All right, yeah, I can make that work. And then they move some things around and they get stuff figured out and they make it work. And then all of a sudden, player X decides at the end of the year he's going into the portal.
Well, I think what we're talking about and have been talking about is going to help eliminate some of that stuff. But I do think there needs to be some kind of changes and restrictions to just jump into a new team every year. I mean, in the NFL, you can't do it. You're locked into your contract. Obviously, you can beg to be traded or whatever, but that's actually up to the team's choice, not yours, because you are getting paid. You're getting paid by that team, and you're under contract. So you can request to be traded, just like Deebo Samuel requests to be traded, and the Niners are thinking about maybe doing it. But it's up to that team because you're under contract. So I think the players need to be held under these contracts. They need to sign 2 or 3 year deals and be held but to a legally binding contract if you're going to pay the money. So I think that's something that definitely needs to be looked into because, if you want to be treated like an employee of a business, you need to have a non-compete and a contract locked in, just like professional athletes are, just like in the professional world, you
Mhm.
know, in the corporate world, it's the same thing. So I think this is all things that need to be looked at because, listen, nobody wants to see, oh, we got this guy for 1 year, and then he's somewhere else, or man, we got this guy coming in, we know we only got him for 1 year, and then he's gone to the NFL or what. It's just there's no more like loyalty in college football like there used to be.
Mhm.
A fan, like I said it a while back on this show, just telling the fans don't get so locked in crazy on your favorite player because in 6 months from now they may not be here. Just cheer for the University of South Carolina and don't get so caught up on one guy because it's going to piss you off if they go somewhere else.
That's a good point. You hit the nail on the head. It's contracts. They got to get to contracts, and they got to. And you're giving everybody free tuition. You're giving them free room and board. And you've been through this. You were a football player at South Carolina. You get everything. And they get way more now than you got 20 years ago.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, I everything was free. I didn't pay for anything in college. I even got some per diem money. It wasn't much, but I mean, you lived for free, you ate for free, your school was free. I mean, everything was free.
Hmm.
So I don't know, man. It's the Wild West out there today, but I think something's got to be changed. I mean, you gotta hold these players to the same standard as any employee in the NFL or in the corporate world. They got to be held accountable just like that. They can't just go wherever they want to every single year, chasing bags.
And speaking of the eating, I took my family to the Golden Spur, formerly 1801 Grill, there at 650 Lincoln on Saturday. Great food. Loved it. Great atmosphere. Well priced. Anybody that's going to be in that area, go down and eat at the Golden Spur. We'll give them a free plug. Is it time for, because you have a whole new roster, 40%, 50% of your roster every year is turned over via graduates, NFL draft, transfers, etc. Is it time for the spring game, or is it time for somewhere in August for there to be a scrimmage game against a different opponent?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind doing that. Um, I think maybe early in camp, fall camp, you do that.
Yeah.
Spring, you're too far out from the season. I think probably the second week in camp, maybe the third week, because you got about 4.5, 5 weeks of camp. So maybe that second into that second on into the third week, you have a scrimmage against another school. I mean, I think that'd be awesome, and I think you don't scrimmage somebody you're going to play during the regular season, right?
No,
So you
no.
scrimmage, a team that you're not going to be playing against in the regular season. I think it'd be great. I mean, the NFL does it what 4 times, 3 or 4 times, and
Three
they have
now.
and they have intermingled practices with each other and go against each other before they have the preseason game. So yeah, why not?
Yeah, I mean, it used to be there was a boatload of reasons to not want to do. You didn't want to get your guys hurt and et cetera, et cetera. The only thing I could possibly think of now, you just have to limit the access. You don't want it on TV if you don't want people seeing your team, et cetera, et cetera. I don't even know if that matters. I mean, if we're talking about NIL, I don't know, let them in. Charge everybody 10, $15 to come watch you play and give all the money to the players.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
You know what I
Each
mean?
each school gets to split the revenue from it.
Yeah, split the revenue, and maybe it's some sort of a bonus or something that goes to kids who have been around and didn't transfer. I don't know. I don't know, but that's these are all the fun conversations we get to have in the off season. Real quick here, the non Super Bowl the other night wasn't very super.
No, not what I expected. I thought it was going to be a close game. I actually thought it was going to be a very defensive game. but the only one that was really playing defense were the Eagles.
Dude.
I thought it was going to be a low scoring game, maybe 20-17 or
I did too.
21-20, something like that. Because both of these teams have been really good on defense. The Eagles have been the best, but I thought it'd be a low scoring game, even though both offenses have a lot of high powered talent and at quarterback. But it just worked out to where the Eagles just completely demoralized Kansas City's O line.
Well, the Eagles are an SEC team.
Oh, I know. It's all SEC.
Pretty smart.
Yep.
Seems to be working. We're right around the corner from spring practice getting going, John. They're in the middle of those beloved winter workouts.
I hate those.
Yeah, they're getting they're easing towards the end at least.
It's good for you, but I hated it. Ugh.
Yeah, well, everything from what I understand
Short-term pain, though. Short-term pain.
Any players that you've heard about, especially newcomers, that have been standing out?
No, not so far. You're only 3 or 4 weeks into the workouts here, so we'll start hearing a little more come springtime once they get out on the field.
I'm a March 1st guy. Give me to March 1st. We can look back on winter workouts and talk about it in its entirety. But guys get to campus, they're fired up, ready to go for a couple of weeks. They're out there pumping and grinding and doing the whole 9 yards, and then they hit a wall. And the ones that break through that wall are the ones that we want to talk about in March. So we'll certainly be able to do that here down the road. But
yep, and yeah, I'm looking forward to spring, but now I'm looking forward to baseball season starting this Friday, which I'm probably going to be at the game.
Good. I'll be in early Friday morning. I'll call you on the way up, and I'll see you on Friday afternoon. Can't wait for that, man. It's gonna be
should be fun. It's going to be cold.
Yep.
I think I'm sitting down in the dugout seats right there by the dugout, so I'll be down there. Looking forward to it. Looks like the rest of the weekend is going to be rainy up until about noon. The noon game on Sunday.
Yeah, dicey.
I got a feeling there's going to be a doubleheader, 2 7th-inning games on Sunday because Saturday is not looking good around here.
Yeah, I hope not. That's Coach Tanner's day. We got people flying in from all over the place. Come on, baseball gods.
I know. Clear it up.
Yeah. At minimum, do the ceremony and then just worry about the baseball. Thanks, John. Hey, quick, bourbon of choice this week. Give us a bourbon rec for the week.
What I'm choosing for you or what I would choose?
What would you choose?
Well, I'll tell you what. I just got the new Maker's Mark Cellar Age 2024.
Ooh.
Popped it open this past weekend, and it was phenomenal. But those are so hard to get. If I tell you something, what's something easier to get that I could recommend? Man, that's tough. I got a lot of rare stuff back here. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know.
Not gonna lie. Oh, you know what?
400 bottles.
Just a good pour that maybe somebody that's not into high proof would be a Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit. It's a solid proof for
very good.
Some of those that can't handle the hundreds proof. If you can find a good single barrel of it, they're on most stores on the shelf. If you see if you look at the warehouse on there, you want to see CN right there, and then the letter behind it doesn't really matter. So look for that.
CN, got it.
Yep, stands for Camp Nelson.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'll write that down.
It's one of the rick houses in the Wild Turkey family.
I love that Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit. That's some good stuff. Good rack.
There you go.
See you Friday, brother. Always good to have you.
All right. See y'all. Have a good show.
Thanks, John. There you go. The great John Strickland.